later. Sorry about that. I'm turning some light on in here. Let's see here. Should we go with the yellow light or should we go with the white light? Let's see. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. Hope you all are doing great. Hope you all are doing great. As you're coming in, just drop down what you got going on for the day. I'm going to do my best to check in here, but I'm actually going to use this time to clean up the room and answer any questions that you all have today. We did, if you're watching the videos that I'm putting out, the series in the morning time, I did a repot on this Monstera Thai constellation. Yeah, how you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. Over here, it's been a while since I've been able to actually get in here and show you all just some beautiful things. I have, do you remember that Congo, nuclear Congo we talked about? Let me slide this around right here. All right, so my nuclear Congo is looking pretty daggone good. I'm very excited about this one. I wish I'd go ahead and finish doing this on fur, but that is a beautiful leaf. So excited. I always wanted to have one of those cool plants, but it just seemed like the cooler the plant is, the more it costs. And so I'm like, oh, I'm not going to spend $100 or $200 and then end up killing the plant. Well, turns out, guys, get you a simple plant. That's what I will always tell anybody who I meet. Get you a simple plant, learn how to take care of that simple plant, and once you do, then you can start to move up to getting more expensive plants. This plant cost me, I bought it off of an auction, I want to say it was 59, could have been 69, one of that. But when I first started getting into the plants, I was not going to spend that amount of money on just on a random plant. Now, my plant that I did spend a lot of money on when I first got into was the Philodendron Pink Princess. And I probably unalived about 3 of them. I'm either on my 3rd one or 4th one. Yeah, and I've had that plant now for about 2 years. What I have done with that plant is not give it any type of grow light and just set it by the window, and it just allows the natural light just to come in, and the Pink Princess has been fine. Has it been just blowing up and climbing like crazy? No, but it's the longest I've been able to keep one. And one thing that you'll learn is that plants work in different environments, and people can do 2 or 3 totally different things for the plant and they still thrive. It's really based on your condition and on your level of care. I'm a person who don't like to water their plants a whole lot. So self-watering containers benefit me. If you're a person who overwater your plants, possibly self-watering containers could benefit you too. And definitely if you're an overwater, you want to make sure you have a fast draining soil. Now, some people, you have to learn how to develop those habits of not watering your plant as much as you think that it needs. My thing is, if you think your plant is dry, you go in and stick your finger in the soil. If it comes out dry, then yes, of course, water it. If you're just looking at it, some things to look for, especially with watering, is look at the leaves. The leaves usually tell a story. If the leaves are very firm and flush to a touch, and when you squeeze them, they kind of feel a little hardish and so forth, no type of breaking, no weird coloring or anything, then your plant is doing fine. That's an indication that it's doing healthy. Now, if you go and you touch it and it becomes very like gooey and it starts to bend and then it's very soft with yellowing coloring, that's usually an indicator of overwatering or some type of fungus issue going on, and that's usually from overwatering and bacteria and stuff. So sometimes people, when they fertilize their plants, especially if you're new to fertilizer, I'm gonna tell you something. The one thing you want to do, check your measurements. Don't just assume, don't just eyeball with it, actually do it. You can over fertilize your plants and kill them too. And also what happens when you keep fertilizing your plants and they're not being flushed through with a good watering system from the top to the bottom, it starts to build, and it doesn't build in a good way. And then you start to have issues with your plant as well. I've never personally ran into that because I usually keep a real fast draining soil, but I have ran into an issue where where the fertilizer have set in the bottom of a self-watering container and it starts stinking really bad. And that's one indication there. And another one is you go to the soil of your plant that's in a self-watering container and you can almost look at it and see like a grayish greenish tint going on there, or look like something funky is growing on the soil, that's too much moisture, and that just means something isn't flushing right. So my recommendation for you is to completely clean out the self-watering pot just to make sure you don't have anything clogging the holes, and that goes for the bottom of the drain as well. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, so as you can see, we have a good drain system going on here. I don't have a lot of water, and I prefer for me to go and take a look at here and see it empty, then I'll go ahead and fill it up. I don't continuously fill it up until it runs dry. I ran into a couple of issues where the plant just wasn't doing good because it was getting too much water because it never aired out completely. Now, there is a con to that. If you allow this to completely dry out and the soil at the top completely dry out, when you go to water your plant, you need to water your soil from the top right here and then let the water drain to the bottom. And make sure you dump out half of that pot of water in there, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of water that's going to sit on this pot, and it's just going to tell this plant it's just sitting there, which is automatically, it's never going to dry to suck up, and you're going to deal with some root rot going on. Those are just some things that I learned in having a self-watering container. I didn't know that things like that could happen, so I'm just passing that along. Again, though, philodendrons, just in general, are very easygoing plants. This plant right here, I could take this exact soil and put it in the same pot with a different plant and get a total different result. Philodendrons usually adjust pretty good. Same things with monsteras and Hoyas. Now, another plant that you might want to start taking a look at. They're still in the Monstera family. You can start looking at like the Statulonas. Sometimes they're marketed as a philodendron cobra. That actually was what mine was marketed as, and I was overcharged because it is a Monstera Statulona. However, if it really was a philodendron cobra, then yeah, yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with that. Let's see if I can show it to you. Actually, I'm gonna bring you over to it so you can take a look at it. Right here. Right here is the Monstera Statulona. This plant means a lot to me. Let me see if I move this away. Let me get you some. All right, can we see a little bit better? All right, cool. So right here, the Monstera Statulona, this actually was a Father's Day gift to me. When I first decided that I wanted to get into plants, this is a plant that my wife picked up by accident. I know I've said the story a couple of times, so let me see here. Show us the pink princess. Okay, I'm just seeing this message. I'm gonna go get the pink princess. I should have boiled Stanley where the plant. Yeah, yeah, I know. I wish somebody would have told me that. I had no. Again, I first was getting into plants, and I was just so excited about buying whatever I could buy. So as soon as I saw, I said, "Boom!" I went with it. Um, oh, I got you. Let me see here. I got a tiny philodendron pin. Should I treat them? I can't pronounce that word. Peditum? Peditinum? Let's go with that. Should I treat it as the same way? Yeah, treat all your philodendrons the same. They're pretty good, unless they start giving a problem. But pretty much they're all tropical house plants. They love, if you can give them humidity, that'd be great. But if you can't give them humidity, that's the good thing about the philodendrons. They're usually forgiving with it. Now, I will recommend that you go through and you mist the leaves if you're dealing with humidity issues. I know around this time of the year, especially if you're like in the East Coast range, like I am over in NC, it's cold outside. So we've been running the heaters, of course, running the heat, and that usually dries the plants out, dries the air out. And I've been noticing I'm having a lot of stuck leaves. Philodendrons, they get like that. So definitely keep you can run your humidifier, but if you don't, what I do sometimes, I need to do it more frequently, is I go through and I mist the leaves. Now, yes, you hear a lot of scrutiny on if you mist the leaves, it can harbor bacteria, but it's your plant. You do whatever you want to do with it. I recommend that for humidity issues so you don't have a lot of stuck leaf problems. Now, if you do decide to mist your plants, don't do them while the grow light is on, because when the water hits the plant and the grow lights hit, it just causes the leaves just to fry and do some yellowing while browning, and we don't want to have those problems. We don't want to fix one thing and cause another. But yeah, so the Statulona here, it was a Father's Day gift. I went to the store just to buy some plants, and right there at the end, my wife saw this. It was a little 4-inch in little 4-inch cups. She's like, "Oh, this plant is so cute. Oh, you want to get it?" And heck yeah, I want to get it. I didn't pay attention to the bin, but it was a section that said rare plants, and I also didn't pay attention to the bottom price tag of $155. And went through the ringer, and my wife looked at me. She was like, when the total came up, and I was like, I didn't buy anything like that because I was very smart. I knew that if I had started right off with my wife on getting the most expensive plants, this hobby was gonna get shut down before it started. So I went in there, and the most that I think I spent on a plant was maybe like $45 or $50. And at that time, I wasn't smart enough to start going to look at other places, like going online and going to other stores. I just went straight to my local nursery. And the thing is about when you go straight to your local nurseries, the nurseries have nursery prices. You know, I wasn't aware of that. I'm like, I'm getting the best of the best. So yeah, when the price picked up, I'm looking at her like, I didn't do that. I don't know why it's up that high. And then we found out what plant it was, and she looked at me. She was like, "Do you want to put it back?" And I was like, "I mean, I can." And she was like, "No, you can keep it." And I was like, "Yeah, you know, like that." So I make it my mission to make sure that this plant doesn't die. Now, I'll give you the truth. This is actually not the mother plant. This is one of the kids. The mother plant caught thrips, and it got too late for me to be able to save it, and boom, done. So I'm so glad that I made this cutting. It was probably about, let's go with about 2 years ago. I decided to make a cutting of the plant. It was probably was about like a 2 leaf plant. I took it, perlite and sphagnum moss. You put those two together inside of a pot, guys, and make sure you have a node on there. And do you know what a node is? If anybody need to know what a node is, go ahead and say yes while I'm over here by the monsteras because they're a little bit bigger. I can show them to you. If you don't care to know what a node is, I'll continue to tell the story. But if you want to know, just put it down there and I'll show you what a node is. But you just take the node and you put it inside of the pot. Say, yeah, so you know, okay, let's get it. So we got us a node right here. These are what nodes are. Let's get a little bit closer. Boom. Okay, I call them like little bumps. You take those and you get sphagnum moss and perlite inside of a pot. And that's where you stick the node inside of there, okay? You make sure that that node is covered up inside of there, and then you want to give it a good watering. And you just monitor that plant. Anytime it gets dry, like almost bone dry, you go ahead and water it. Or you can keep it a little bit moist. The thing is, your sphagnum moss should never be, it shouldn't be mushy. That's why we do the perlites, because we want to make sure it's fast draining. Go from the bottom, top to the bottom. Now, I was going to see if I have some moss and perlite together in a bin so I can show you. Let's see. Okay, I do have some sphagnum moss, and you know what? Let's bag this on back and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not going to cut that plant off. Let's see. You know what? Why not? Come on, let's do it. All right, so this is what the mix is gonna look like, okay? You can go to, now, I get my perlite from Amazon, okay? Amazon sells 3 millimeter perlite. You see this? They are pretty big chunks. It's so worth the money, okay? I just ordered some more. If I didn't order some more, I'm gonna be ordering some next week. I think I ran out of plant money. I bought some Super Thrive and I bought some 3-in-1 spray, and the concentrate one, and that took me up to $100. So yeah. Okay. All right. You said don't cut it? Oh no, we're gonna cut this baby. Let's go. All right. I want to show you the mix though. So right here, sphagnum moss and perlite is what you want to use to put inside of it. So let's go. Here we are. We're gonna start off with our shears, okay? Make sure they're clean. If you've done any type of thing, get into a habit of cleaning them off after you're done. The best thing to do, because who has time to do all the wiping, just get you a bowl, set it in there with some water and a little bit of alcohol, and you're good to go, okay? So we're gonna open these up and we're gonna go up here. Remember, this is where the node was at. Now, when I cut this, I have to be mindful that this leaf right here probably will not unfurl or anything because I'm just messing with its own habit. So what I'm going to do is come down a little bit lower right here. Okay? Now the reason why I cut there is because a new shoot is going to be able to grow from there. If I had done a cut right here, it was going to be bare with no leaves, and then it's going to start taking off there. We're going to do here. So This is where we are at right here. So this is our node. This, we want to make sure this goes into that mix that we're going to make, okay? So let's get our mix. Now, I would prefer to have an actual real pot. I don't like that pot. Let's see if I have a little clear one somewhere. This would be the time I did all the cleanups. I didn't do it. Okay. If you all give me 1 minute, I'm going to run upstairs, grab the Pink Princess, and I'm going to get the clear pot that we're going to put this in, okay, that I would recommend. So if anybody come in, y'all tell them what I'm going to do, okay? I don't have you just sitting here. All right, guys, I'm coming. I don't think I've moved this fast in a long time. All right, here we go. Boom, we are here. I appreciate you being here. Pink Princess. Now, I keep this one. I used to keep her in the bedroom, but I recently moved her to the bathroom. I went in the bedroom. I was like, where is she at? Bathroom. She's doing pretty good. I've had this one for about 2 years. Probably could grow a little bit faster if I gave it the proper fertilizer and the lighting, but guys, I'm just worried about giving this plant grow lights. Every time I put it under grow lights, I have a problem, so I'm just doing it that way. But anyway, let's get back to this. Oh, I am out of breath. So right here, again, we have our node. Let's turn our light so we can make sure we see pretty good. I have like 2 colors clashing right here. Let's turn these ones down. That's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. So right here, you see what we have our node. This is what we're going to put into our pot here. What we are going to use to build is going to be our mix. Just so you can see it a little bit better, I'll put it inside of here. That is a perlite and sphagnum mix. We're going to take some and we're going to put it in here. Now you're going to have to wiggle this around inside of there just to make sure it works out good for you. This node, we want to make sure it gets covered up. So now if this node was a little bit too long, what I would do, which in this instance it is, I'm just going to cut a little piece off again at the bottom. Now, to be clear, you can also put this in water. But if you put a Monstera Statulona in water, expect for it to be in water for at least 4 to 5 months before you get roots in there. I've had one in a bottle now for going on about 6 months, and I found they do have a little bit of roots in there. I can show you that one after we finish this. So you see I cut that stem, and I'm gonna make sure that that node goes right on in here. Wiggle it in there. Now we're gonna build back around this. I don't know why I thought that was a dry worm. All right, and here we go. Now you want to be mindful of how much sphagnum moss is around here because this does hold moisture. And when you water your plant, if it stays wet and solid, it is going to cause this stem right here to almost rot. So you have to be just mindful of that on how tall that you're building it. I try to make sure that for the most part, it's just perlite that's around there. And that's why I like to go with these big ones here, because not only does this work really good with propagating, but when you use it inside your soil, you ever notice that when you use your perlite, how your soil rises all the way up? Well, this right here is weighted almost because it's so heavy in retrospect that it doesn't deal with those issues. But anyway, guys, so that's how we do this. Now, I could, if I wanted to be greedy, I could cut this stem, this node off right here and stick that inside of there and get 2 plants, but I'm not being greedy. I'm okay with just doing this. And this is what we're gonna do. Next thing, what you wanna do is get you a little bit of Super Thrive and water when you water this, okay? Because that's the next important step. If you just leave it in here like this, it's gonna die. So, I like to use, boom, Super Thrive. You see it? All right. This is something that you definitely wanna have in your plant collection, or if you just have a plant, you want this. And if you don't use this, I guarantee you'll see a difference. Some people say, oh, it's just made up. No, it's not. All of my plants used to die and all of my repots used to suck. I started using this, it changed it. You can use this with your fertilizer or definitely just use it in your water, okay? And you can use it with all of your watering. Every time you water your plant, you can use this. What's going on, Vin? Yes, it is. This right here will get the job done. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna get some water so that way we can water the plant, so I can show you how you should water it from the top to the bottom, watch it flow out, and then we'll be done with that. Let me grab the water. All right, so here we are. We have this right here to catch our water, and I have my glass of water. Now, I only got a glass because that was the first thing I saw and I didn't want to hold you up. But definitely get you a plastic water bottle or something you could pour in and throw it away, because this stuff stinks. Well, if you like the vinegar and a Sour Patch type of way, I guess maybe you like it, but for the most part, it stinks. Every time I do a repot or water my plants, everybody in the house got something to say. Oh, Dad, oh, come on, boo, your room stinks. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. But anyway, we're gonna take a little bit of this, put a little, boom, right here. Now, I still almost gave it too much. Now, just because I have my pot here, I went ahead and just dropped it right down in here because when I get ready to do the water, I'm not gonna be able to hold it and talk to you all at the same time. So, water it all the way, okay? That passed through. That we are not done watering this because I don't know if you can see or hear, that's still dry. So we need to make sure we thoroughly water it. Now, you could leave the pot inside of here with this water going, and it will drink up the water and it will get it taken care of. It usually take about 30 minutes to an hour, okay? Definitely make sure you come back though and take the water out of here, because if you don't, you're gonna have some problems. It's gonna be dead, that's the problem, all right? So, because I don't wanna chance myself to do that because I know me, I'll forget about it. Are you still using Fuke 2 in addition to Super Thrive? Absolutely, absolutely. What's going on? Hey, Julie. Yes, I sure am. But not when I do the propagating. I just do the Super Thrive. And here we go. Y'all see this? That is thoroughly watered all the way through. And I won't have to worry about this, depending on where I set it, for about 4 or 5 days. Now still, I should check on this plant every day just to make sure that it doesn't dry out or somebody doesn't kick it over or the wind didn't blow it over, however way it happens. I still want to keep an eye on it. You Keep in mind when you do any type of propagating, just think about you if you was getting any type of surgery or anything. You need to kind of go easy on it. So it wouldn't be smart for me to put this under the brightest grow light or anything. The best light and the best temperament that I can get to this plant after cutting it, if I can get it to a window, great. If I can get it to, Miss Julie know, the magical east facing window, that's really a win, okay? And that's it on the propagating part. Does anybody have any questions? Now remember, we also could have just took our plant, we could have cut it, and we could have stuck it inside of a water bottle, or we could have put it inside of whatever container or vase or whatever. It just would have sat in water. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you do that. But remember, it's going to grow extremely slow if you do this. Unless you got some magic juice water or something you could put me on. Now here we go. Now, I stick my plants in anything. I don't care. Okay, if it's an empty water bottle, I am the person. You see it all the time. They make memes and jokes where people find plant people. They find trash, and after they change their trash, they go, "Your recommendation of Super Thrive changed our plant." I'm glad it did, Gigi. I'm glad it did. That's the whole purpose of it. We're supposed to be here helping each other out. I'm telling you, I forgot who it was who put me on Super Thrive, and the way they presented it to me, they just made me feel like I was so behind. It was like, yeah, you just combine it when you use the Super Thrive. I'm like, Super what? It was like, you don't know what Super Thrive is? I was like, no. It was like, you need to go to the store, you need to buy it. And I got off my butt, I went and I tried it, and it started working good for my repots. Guys, so let me tell you, when I first started making YouTube videos, right, I would do these long form videos, of course, which I still do, which I'm getting better at them, guys. I know I'm kind of like right, left. That's just kind of how my mind is. I will write something out, have it planned out, and I'm like, yeah. But when I get in here, I'll start feeling something else, and before you know it, I freestyle it, and the views show it. So we're working on that slowly. But yeah, so I forgot where I was going with that, but I actually did a repot on the Monstera constellation, and they've been doing pretty good. This one right here. Sorry, I saw a chat I was reading. They also have been super. Yeah, they do have. Now, I actually was going to use the. Sorry, I got to read the messages out. Yes, man, they do have the Super Thrive profilage, and I was going to try it. I'm going to try it after I'm through with my FOOP. I just want to see what's going to happen. FOOP, I'm going to show it to you all. Right here. This is it. It is an amazing product, and you can use your FOOP and your Super Thrive. My own thought about propagating is I let plants rules on if I find the plants develop a stronger weak that way. Hold on a minute. Sorry, we dropped off. My only thought propagating plants when roots are inch long. I find that plants develop stronger. Takes no. I know that's right. Oh, I gotta read it out loud. Gosh. I got somebody who a couple of people was like, can you make sure you read it out loud? Sure. My only thought about propagating it is that I plant when roots are inch long. I find that plants develop stronger roots that way. It does take longer for the plant to develop, but I don't lose any way. And reason why you right on target with that, I have taken a couple of plants and planted them into soil. And if they have, of course, if they have roots on them, like if I'm breaking up a plant and I put it straight into the soil, it does pretty good. And I done an experiment where I took, it was jade pothos. So just for reference, if anybody want to try it, you can, it works. And if it don't work, you haven't really lost much because they like cheapest plants that you can get. I got a jade pothos and I did an experiment. I took one cutting and I put it straight in from the node. I put it in water. I took another one, I put it into the soil, and I took another one and I put it into the perlite. At that time, I wasn't using sphagnum mouse and perlite. I just was using perlite. So I put those three into three separate containers to see how they was going to do. Now, the fastest start, now I would say, was the one that I put in just perlite. That one, the root system started to build fast. And then slowly but surely, the water started to get a root. Soil was the last one to actually do something. And you could tell by the plant, it was a little bit like woozy and all that. But I kid you not, by like the third month, the one that was in soil completely just took off and just left the other in the dust. The one in water was still kind of slow. It still was developing its root system. But the one that was in perlite was developing a root system, but the leaves was just growing a little slow. But the one I had in the soil, it took off. And there's a lot of experiments I've done. I also done an experiment where I used three different type of soils. I made one that had more perlite in it, one that had more orchid bark in it, one that had more soil in it, and one of them, I think I even put a couple of pieces of leca in there just to see what was going to happen. Now, the orchid bark and the perlite, the two that I did, they kind of was the same thing because it was just airy. I didn't really know that at the time. I thought it was different. So they performed about the same. The soil one, of course, did great. And yeah, that's the end of that. Anyway, so with food, you can combine your Super Thrive and your fertilizer whenever you water together. Now, the foliage Pro was something that I actually put, the Super Thrive Foliage Pro was something I put into my cart, and I was going to order it this week, but I took it out and I just ordered this big bottle of Super Thrive. Now this right here, it's way cheaper to go on Amazon and order one of these. I think this is the pint. Yeah, pint. They have 1 pint, a quart, or they have a gallon. Now this right here, I want to say $33, $34 versus when I go to the store, I spend $17 just on this bottle. You see the difference? You know, as I don't know if you all watch this it's this influencer. He says, "Are you tracking?" But yeah, so this right here works pretty daggone good. But once I finish my Foop though, I am gonna move on to the Foliage Pro just to give it a try. Foop was recommended to me by one of my friends on Instagram, and her plants are absolutely beautiful. Actually, everybody who recommends me something to do, I give it a try to see what's going to happen. And that right there really turned the difference between night and day with my plants. So I just stuck with it. You know, I'm a very simple person. If something works, there's no need to change it. But I will say this. This is speaking on some realness from plants. You know, one of my goals with plants is to have plants eventually be able to afford me an opportunity of life. Like I want to be able to go to Brazil, wherever it's at, and hang out with these plants. I use Foliage Pro and Super Thrive too. It works well. Taking your word for it because I'm mixing it in. So you're gonna hear about me in about 3 weeks. I'm gonna be all up in your inbox. I'm like, listen, I mixed these two together and I don't know if it's gonna work. How does it stink? I mean, I know all fertilizer kind of stink, but is it like kind of mass? I don't know if you used the Foop before, but it kind of has like a little minty smell over top of it. So you don't realize you're playing around with fish crap until you like, okay, now I know. But initially you don't really smell it too bad. At least I don't. The family in the house, it seems to smell them. Everything I do with plants seems to bother them with smells and stuff. But I do have plants all around the house, and one day we will go through there and check it out. I could take you all to the living room if you want to take a look at the Monstera escalatos and my Philodendron Mayoa. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Y'all let me know if you want to. Just say yes. We'll move over there, and then we'll end out there. That's why I don't use the smell. For real? So the foliage smells better? Listen, if you're telling me that one smells better, then yeah, I'm sold. And I was telling you all about this. I got sidetracked. You know, I wanted plants to be able to afford my lifestyle. Now, I'm not going to be a person that's going to overmarket and just sell. Sometimes you see people that just do a little too much, in my personal opinion. But, so I've been like pushing Foop. I've been tagging them. I've been like doing all this stuff on Instagram for like 2-3 years continuously. When you would have thought by now somebody would have reached out to be like, hey, you really use our product a lot. I'm not saying anything about sending me nothing for free. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying if you're from a small business point of view, you notice a person is using your same stuff for 2-3 years. It's not like you got millions of followers. You're not Walmart or Target. So you don't know who is buying your stuff and who's not. You're on an actual platform, and by you being on a platform, you get tagged when somebody uses you. Now, if you become so large that you can't check on your people, then you need to hire a team or something. But the fact is that I always tag them and give them a shout out, give them some type of just like, hey, y'all have a good product. I'm sending people your way to try to get your business. Not a one thank you, not a thumbs up, not a heart, not a anything. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm giving you free business. And if you're not going to be appreciative of it, I don't have to do it. Now, if somebody asks me what I'm using for my plants, I absolutely 100% will tell them what it is. And sometimes if I do my posts, if I still feel nice because I'm a person that's just going to give love anyway, because I would want somebody to do that for me, then I'm going to just shout you out and include. I'm not expecting anything. But for 2-3 years, I've been like giving you a shout out continuously, probably 5 to 10 times a month, telling people what I use, and you can't even get on there to say, hey, thanks for letting me know. Okay, that's fine. All right, so you all didn't ask, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're gonna cut over to the living room, take a look at those plants. I'm gonna tell you what's going on with my fern that my Oma gave me that I did not ask her to give to me, but now I'm obligated to take care of, and I'm gonna tell you what, the plant's slowly growing on me. All right, let's go. Now I'm gonna tell you, like I tell my people in my story, if you try to judge my house, then I'm not gonna let you in no more. All right. So this right here is the Signonia, okay? So I've had this plant now for, I would say five years, maybe 4 years. Either I got it at the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022. So however way we look the feed on it, that's what happened. This right here is, I gotta go check in. Okay, take care. I'll see you soon. I'm gonna hit some post or something on Instagram. I'm supposed to finish out these orders. I don't know. We're gonna see. All right, take care. All right, so listen, the Sigonium right here, I've had this one for, about 3-4 years. It does pretty good. Now, I keep it right here by this window, and it's facing towards the west. Does pretty good. It has the window to itself. I water the soil when it's dry. I use a nice chunky airy mix, okay? I use perlite, orchid bark, and soil. Now, the crazy thing about this is that I was not using size 3 perlite when I did this repot on this plant. Now, sometimes when I buy a plant, now to be clear, when I bought this plant was about this size right here, okay? When you buy a large plant and it seems to be doing pretty good, that's the biggest Signonia I've ever seen. Appreciate that. I've always thought those were difficult plants I never bought. Then, listen, you have difficult plants, okay? Compared to this, it's a piece of cake. They grow just like pothos, okay? You can't kill them if you try. Trust me. They've been in my care. I can tell you on this. You water this plant when it's dry. You just give it to the window. You don't have to worry about having a lot of sickness with them. Now, let me scale back. They aren't plants that get easily sick, but when they get sick, usually the bug to take them out is mealy bugs. And this plant does a really good job of still pounding and going on with a full mealybug outbreak. So you wouldn't even know it's a party going on in your leaves unless you got close to really check it. Only reason why I knew my pink Sigoniums that I have, I think it was Ice Frost Pink, who knows? They create new names for these plants. Next year it'll be called Strawberry Ice, who knows? I didn't know that plant wasn't doing too good until I just got close on it, and because the leaves were pink and very bright, I was able to see just the white little powdery mealy bugs on there. That made me so angry. I just go in there with my finger and just smush them. They're so soft to smush. But yes, I didn't know that plant had mealy bugs until I got real close up on it because it still kept growing. It was just doing its thing. So just watch out for it with mealy bugs. But again, very easy repot. And I think I was talking about big plants. When you go to the store and you buy big plants, unless it's a need for you to have to change the full pot or the full soil because the plant's sick, and if the plant is sick, you probably shouldn't be buying it at such a large size. But if it's not indicating any of those problems, do not mess with the original soil that it's in. If you want to put it in a chunky mix and so forth, then what I would do is you can knock off a little bit of the soil at the bottom of the roots, or you can bump, just imagine the pot being out and this is the dirt, the soil that's around it. You can get in there and just kind of squeeze around the pot. That's a little too rough. Squeeze like that, and then squeeze at the bottom, and you'll see the soil start to come off a little bit like that. Get as much as you can like that, so that way you're not snapping the roots. Some people go in there just rough, and you hear the roots. We're not gonna do that. Just go in there a little soft, and then you can put your nice chunky mix, get as much as you can from there, and then you repot it in your chunky mix that you want to. You start getting in there and start messing with the root ball in an environment that this plant's been growing in for the last 2 or 3 years and is comfortable with it, and you get up in there just for no reason at all because you want to throw it in a chunky mix, you're going to have some problems. Now, one, the plant could die from being completely just stressed out, or two, being that the plant's going to just stop growing at all and it's going to take a while for it to acclimate because now it has an attitude and it's going to pout for a long time. So if you don't want to, if you would just want to prevent that, I would say knock as much soil as you naturally can off of it and then just repot it in your chunky mix. Because at the end of the day, guys, unless you're running a whole greenhouse in your house, you're not going to be able to maintain just peat moss inside of your pot without having some type of issues. You can try it. I've tried it, being lazy, bought a plant, didn't feel like doing any repotting, and I paid for it later. Again, because I had to buy another one. All right, let's come over here. These right here are my Monstera esqueletos. I will turn one of them around for you. The other one I may can, as long as it's not difficult. I want a plant room. Hey, get you a plant room. It don't take much. Just get you whatever you have. Even if you have a closet. No, don't do closet now. Can't do closet. But get you something that at least have one window and get you a whole lot of grow lights and boom, you got a plant room. Before I had an actual plant room, my living room was my plant room, okay? And I was in, before I moved here, I had my townhouse. And let me tell you what, we all shared that house together. My living room felt like a jungle. I used to get so mad when the kids would come and jump on the couch and bump my leaves. Or when people would come in and instead of looking at the plant, what's up with people touching it? Oh, this is nice. Get your hands off of my plant. And then for some reason, I don't know if you all deal with this, if you have a lot of plants in your house. What is it when people come to your house, all of a sudden they love plants? Like, I'm glad you love them. I'm glad that they're a thing. But you love plants so much, now you want me to give you a piece of my plant. And you don't want just the plant that I'm recommending to you that, see if it does good, because I don't mind cutting my plants. I need to cut plants because I need the room. I don't mind giving you a piece of a good plant. But how about learn how to take care of the basic part of the plant, and then after you learn how to care for that, you can move over to the expensive part. If you can't grow a Monstera deliciosa, you shouldn't be messing with a Monstera esqueleto because they're just a little bit more finicky. Yes, they grow easy because they are Monstera, but you still have to be careful with that. What B&B say, yes, my mama stay talking about plants. Listen, my mom is a school teacher. She finally decided to get plants in her whole classroom now. She has about 10 plants, and every summer when she gets out of school, she brings the plants home to our house and she gives me a call, and either I'll come up there to our house and do all the repotting, or she'll come down to my house and she'll stay for the weekend and I'll do all the repotting of her plants and send her back with them. Last year for Christmas, I bought her a Christmas cactus, and I just knew when I gave that thing to her, it was done, because my mom's never really been a plant person. I remember growing up, we'd buy a plant, about a month later, we'd buy another plant. You know, it just happened like that. Sometimes if you had a pothos, it would last for about 2 or 3 months. You know, that plant that sat down there in the corner, never got any light, and it started off nice, and it turned to that one little stem growing out that big pot. We all know about those plants. So yeah, that's what we used to have growing up. So I gave her a Christmas cactus because she came to the house and she freaking loved mine. Same, I got to do all the work at my mom's house and her. But I'm telling you, it's a great bonding experience. It really is, because they're just talking to you like, yeah, I got this. Don't worry about it. Oh, some kids knocked it over. So you like, don't worry about it. I got it. And they just, all I'm doing is playing with soil. I'm in my natural thing, and she's just so appreciative of it. So it's nice to be able to do some things like that, because I mean, it's kind of a building moment for me and my mom to be able to do that. Same, I have to repot mom's plant. Hey, so what's up? All of us repot our mom's plants. Hey, we know what it is. We got to, because somebody has to help them out. Because, you know, they like to have something relatable to talk to us about. My mom knows. She burying up plants. We can talk for hours. You know, I'll wake up the next day and continue the conversation that we had last night. I could tell when she started checking out, because she's like, yeah, Shawn, I hear you. I'm like, all right, next, move to the next. But Monstera esqueleto, this leaf right here actually just unfurled, so it's still very soft, and you can see that's why it's that light green color. I actually had to cut a leaf off because I had some humidity issues going on over here. I do have a small humidifier. I don't know if this is gonna, I have that white humidifier down there. I bought it off of Amazon about 2 years ago. I forgot the name of the brand is called Goovy, or yeah, Goovy, Govee. The company ran out of business. At least I don't see it anymore. But I'm pretty sure if you type in Goovy, it will let you know. I got her one plant now. She got 7 plants. That's how I go. It adds up. And watch, it's gonna be 14 by next year, and then she's gonna try to give you some of the plants. And you're just like, I don't want none of these plants. I wouldn't buy this. My mom has, and if you all have this plant, I'm so sorry. I forgot what it's called, but you go to the store. It's the pink one, a tribe, whatever it is. It has pink with the little green stripes in it, and it's a pretty plant. But you know, I don't want it. But anyway, our mom, she has that plant, and she always is having problems with it. I think she overwaters it, but I just haven't taken the time to really learn it. And her way of fixing it was to set it outside on the deck during the summertime. Now, she does have a covered deck, but my mom set it right there on the end, and sun was beaming all the way on it. And you know what she did after I told her? She sent me a picture. She's like, Shawn, my plant is yellow. I'm like, I wonder why. It's probably crispy too. So her mom's way, she brought it in the house. Now she took it from outside where it had nice humidity. She brought it inside the house, and then she put a whole lot of water in it and set it over in the corner. That plant doesn't exist today, okay? Yeah. All right, hold on, man. I just saw a message. I had to teach my mom how to water the plant. I bought her so many plants, and she's just out of control. It's something, now it's an actual research that says that plants give off, I think it's when you're just around them or you're touching them or something, but they give off a signal to you. Bought her a plant last weekend and she said, okay, no more plants. But I was thinking, you said, I've also been saying I'm not gonna buy no more plants too. I'm telling you, that's why I'm trying to stay out the store, because when you go, and I'm getting to the point now where it's really bad that if I see a plant that I like, I will buy the plant for someone else. And sometimes I keep the plant, or I tell myself I'm buying it for someone else just to justify it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now, I gave my mom a couple of cuttings, and I usually give people, anybody who come into the house, if they ask for cuttings, it's just, are you sure you want to hit on the most difficult plant possible? Because if not, let's talk something else. But Escaleto guys, and then I'm gonna have to get off because I gotta get some orders out. I'm gonna tell you all something now. If you all tell my wife, I'm never gonna tell you all anything again. Okay, so we have an embroidery business. I actually make plant shirts. You know what? This is the perfect time. Let me show you. I actually have it sitting right over here, and I promise you, I was not thinking about for marketing. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right, so I make this. This is my baby. I've been sitting on this for a long time. You see me wearing it. I'm supposed to have it on now. I'm very bad. I know. I'm wearing. It is what it is. But my wife was off yesterday, and we had some orders. Now we have our company is called Dope Ass Nurse. It's just we just sell a lot of nursing. It's all nursing place. I mean, you can get. If you're a doctor and a paramedic and all, we take care of all healthcare, but the focal point is because my wife is a registered nurse, you know, the focal point is on nurse, but we carry everything. So on her off days though, her responsibility is supposed to be make the orders that we have. So that way, you know, I'm off of the machine, I'm not doing it. She was tired yesterday, so she decided that, you know, it was best fit for her to get her rest and go to sleep. Oh yeah, head over to the website, dopeassnurse.com. But also, if you follow me on Instagram, or if you don't, I could possibly tag it on there. But to get it, it will be www.dopeassnurse.com, just like that, dope ass and nurse, all in one word.com, and you'll see a section on there that's called Plant Vibes. If you want to check it out, you can. But again, they're pretty cool. So. And you can get them in different colors of the shirts and so forth. Once you get there, you'll be able to see exactly what colors and stuff that you can do with. So yeah, so I go to say is that I was supposed to be doing a lot of plant work today, but now I have to work the machine and get a couple of other orders out. Not my plant orders, but get a couple of orders out in the meantime. So yeah, thanks. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I have to do. But if you all don't have any questions, any comments, I think I covered everything. Oh, I didn't talk too much about the Monstera Escaleto. Let me say that and then I can get off. Monstera escalato, you want to give it some light. I do have additional grow light on there. I do not run it all the time. Mine do pretty good just facing the window. If I gave it more light, it would probably go faster. But guys, some plants, I don't need to grow faster. This plant is already bigger than me. Now it is sitting on a pole, but if I was to take it and put it on the floor, oh, let's stretch. We can move the camera back a little bit so that way you can see. I mean, still with the being on the floor, it's still a pretty big plant. I don't need to grow any faster than what it's doing. I already have this new leaf that just unfurled, and most likely since I cut from right here, I'm gonna have another one that's gonna shoot from behind here. And that was doing good. This one over here, let's just turn it, but it's the same plant. Now, did I buy two of the same plant? Absolutely not. I went to the store from my local greenhouse, bought one of them, and I had to do a repot on the plant probably about 6 months after I bought it. They was in there, just wasn't doing too healthy. I don't know if it was two plants in there that was fighting for attention or what, but when I got in there, got ready to break it, it was the first time I've ever repotted a plant this big. Well, maybe this delicate that was this big. All the other plants I repotted like a philodendron, you know, they're big and bulky. You can kind of get a little rough with them and just, within measure. These, I was scared. You know, I got right into the soil in the bottom of the pot because I paid a lot of money for this plant. I paid $80, I want to say, for it. And once I got in there to really go, it actually was 3 plants that was inside. So the plants that you see in the plant room, which we can finish off in there, I'll take you there. All 3 of these plants all 3 of the plants that I have actually came from that one pot. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nice chunky air mix that you give to your monsteras. You want it to be fast draining, and you definitely need to fertilize a plant like this. Okay, you need to fertilize all your plants. During this time of the year, it's recommended that I tell you not to fertilize your plant, but this is how it's going to go. If you've been fertilizing your plants on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, you're perfectly fine with doing that. The thing is that during the winter months, we know that the light doesn't come through. Now, if you have grow lights going on your plants and your plants is going to still receiving the same amount of care, same amount of grow lights and so forth, you don't have to slow down your fertilization. You hear a lot of people say it's dormant and all that. Yes, but they're inside your plant. They're inside your house. You've already taken away the Mother Nature part of the dormant part. Do they grow better in the summertime? Yeah, but that's usually because most people give their plants more light naturally because they're by the window or because it's warm outside, so the temperature inside the house isn't crappy. Everything gets better in the spring and summer because most of the time we can't control those factors. But if you do need to fertilize your plants, you can fertilize them, but I would suggest this: go a little bit light on the fertilizer. I ask, especially if you have any type of calatheas, those plants, which we can go ahead and head back to the room and I can show you a calathea right quick. If you have any type of calatheas, then I'm gonna move this light so it's not shining on you. There we go. If you have any type of calathea plants, the best thing to do when you water these, because they do not like just tap water after sinking, you can tell it's time to water this plant. This is an indicator that it's time to be watered. The leaves will start curling in a little bit, the plant will start looking a little droopy, and the color start looking a little bit faded, okay? You take a little bit of fertilizer each time you water your plant. A very, very, very light, okay? If the recommendation is 1 cup of fertilizer, I'm talking about using something like 1/8 of a fertilizer, okay? It needs to be very, very almost undetectable in there. And what that fertilizer does, it just helps fight against the chemicals or whatever it is that's in our water. Not chemicals, that sounds bad, but maybe the high calcium levels and so forth, okay? Because calatheas are a little bit simple. Well, not simple. They're a little bit extra. And these monsteras over here were the ones that came from the plant. You can see them over there, the escalatos, those. All of these plants that I have came from one pot. And nobody knew, at least I didn't know. And I doubt that they knew because they probably would have separated it and would have been able to make $140 instead of just $70. But with that said, guys, I am going to go ahead and get off of here. I'm going to do the very best that I can to try to be on here at least 2 to 3 times a week. I want to do every single day, and that was the plan. But I gotta be for real. I'm trying to build a dream here, and I have to dedicate a little bit of that time. And if you all could hear me over that machine while I'm working, I promise I would have you in there. But then we wouldn't be talking about plants, and that would defeat the purpose. So anyway, you all take care. Have a great day. If you're on your lunch break, knock it out when you get back to work. If you're at the house, so forth, whatever it is, it don't matter. Y'all take care. Take care, man.